So Jaylen Embry and Ken Hike is a defensive back duo and a corner duo specifically that I think is going to be very, very interesting to a lot of ELF fans. The Prague Lions have made the biggest impact to their offseason in 2025. They were 1-11 last year. This year they look like they might be a bit of a dark horse to take the East. And I'm going to be looking at 3 of their American signings, being William Patterson, Ken Hike, and Jaylen Embry. To start off, we're going to look at 2023 All-Star Ken. Now, if you remember correctly, one of my first ever evals on this channel is on Ken Hike, but I have not watched that for this video. I wanted to go in with just a new perspective because I feel like a lot of people will scout a player once and then they'll just kind of like think of that as their whole career. So I wanted to go in with fresh eyes and look at this from a completely different perspective because Ken had a very different year. He was starting the season with the Helvetic Mercenaries. Halfway through, leaves the team, goes to the Vienna Vikings. One factor that has remained the same and that I did not forget, because it's hard to, is how aggressive Ken is on the line. He's an excellent man cover corner, and the big part of that is just how he starts the rep. He is constantly in the face of the receiver, using his hands actively and disrupting a route. He's a great ball player. He is able to make big plays on the ball and in a special team aspect as well. And he provides just blanket coverage. That is what he is at his core. When you boil it down, overall, he's a man-to-man cover corner and one of the best in the league. He has a longer frame. He is about 6 foot tall in his listed height, but his arms and wingspan appear to be a lot longer, which means when these receivers come into his facility, he just has the ability to break up the ball from longer distances. He has the reach advantage, which comes into his ball playing ability, also his tackling. And he's overall a solid tackler. Wouldn't say he's the most elite in the category, but he can definitely get the job done. He's aggressive in that as well. The big point of emphasis though is his sitting down on his back pedal. When he is being his ultra aggressive corner, sometimes he will lean too far back and he'll be able to not really get as much explosiveness out of that back foot as possible. We've seen that a few times when the receivers are able to kind of blow past his initial jab, because sometimes that jab is rather telegraphed, because once you know how aggressive he's going to be, it's a little bit easier to read. Now, as you can imagine, most of this aspect is happening on the inside routes. You would expect him to have linebacker help over the middle, but to be, 1% man cover corner, I would probably have this as just a tick against that. He does have elite hips, and some of this tape from Vienna is literally him getting off the plane to play, so you've got to take some of it with a grain of salt. He might not have been in perfect condition during this. It's just an asterisk to put on some of this. Overall though, Ken is an excellent corner. There's a reason why he was an all-star. People look at Sarah Beard's defensive player of the year when he got 8 interceptions for Helvetic. A lot of that also came down to Ken, because Ken was taking up the American receiver, and he was absolutely fucking locked down when doing so. So I think going into 2025 with Prague, he's probably going to be on the American receiver, and that provides him with a lot of opportunities to prove that he is very clearly still an all-star talent. He's 29, he's coming into his 3rd season. I think he's going to be extra motivated after having kind of a strange 2024. I'm going to stay on the theme of corners and continue on to Jaylen Embry. So Jaylen Embry and Ken Hike is a defensive back duo and a corner duo specifically that I think is going to be very, very interesting to a lot of ELF fans. So we've already analysed Ken, lockdown man cover corner. Embry is a little bit different. Embry can play man coverage and he is a very good man coverage corner, but he's better as a zonal player. He's a great ball hawk, his head is constantly looking for the ball, and we saw that a lot in 2024 with the Madrid Bravos. His stockier frame as well means he is a very good tackler. As a cornerback, he's probably one of the better tackler corners in the entire league. So you have Ken Hike's length and frame on the outside, and then you also have the bruising, more physical nature of Jaylen, who is going to be constantly looking to intercept the quarterback. We saw this multiple times during the year, and he was one of the best ball hawks of the season before he got hurt. Granted, sometimes this want for the ball has been a little bit of a disadvantage because he can get caught in these situations, maybe not being as quick to his zone as he's potentially meant to be, but I think the risk reward in this situation is definitely worth it. Another difference is he is slightly slower. He isn't slow, don't get me wrong, but he is slightly less twitchy and quick muscle fiber movements than Ken. This is a duo I am so excited to see. It's going to be great. Like, you cannot throw on either of them, because you've got Ken, who's going to be looking up receiver number 1, probably the American, allowing Jaylen to just kind of lurk at the other corner spot if you want to go outside. And I don't really see how teams are going to go around that. They're going to have to try and utilize the inside routes. But Prague also have really good coverage players there, like Arthur Kingdom, who we'll analyze probably later in the season. The last player I want to look at today for the Americans is William Patterson. Receiver for the Rhine Fire in his first season, came in as a late replacement for Robitaille, and then he also found his home in the Madrid Bravos like Jaylen Embry, with the head coach Dave Warner, who is also in Prague, which that's going to be a great fucking recipe. The OC for Prague, who had Willie in his offense and was outstanding last year, they're both in Prague together now, so I think he's going to be a massive focal point of the Prague offense. And if you've seen William Patterson before, I shouldn't really need to explain too much. He's absolutely fucking rapid. I've said before how I think that his release and his footwork is probably some of the best in the league. He can shimmy defenders out of their shoes with his moves, and he has very quick and refined route running. Those first 3 steps of his route are sublime. Really, really clean. The footwork, the head fakes, the hand movement, just disruption of press coverage in general. Is something that he's really, really spectacular at. And generally, I don't think there's a receiver in this league that has a better first 3 steps than William Patterson. He's also a massive aspect in a motion game and a run game. He can take a lot of jet sweeps. His motions make the defense have to shift and move and align to him because he is such a threat. And he had to play a little bit of quarterback, so he's a great athlete. He can run with the ball. He's great with the ball in his hands. His rack yards show how good he is with the ball in his hands, and he can take these short screens, take him 80 yards, or he can take an 80-yard bomb over the top because of that elite speed. Because he can really take a top off of the defense. He's a massive playmaker. He has great hands. He can run short, deep, and intermediate routes. He is really a 3-level threat when it comes to the receiving game. He's not as physically dominant as other receivers like a Malik Stanley or Markel Castle. He can get pushed off his routes at times, but his quickness and speed again make up for the risk reward. I really think Prague have done an outstanding job of putting together these extremely talented players that maybe some other teams have thought are really, really good, but I think that all of them can take a step into All-Star. We know that Ken's an All-Star, he's been an All-Star. Jaylen probably would have been if he was staying healthy, and William Patterson I think can also make that jump, but then he had quarterback injuries he had to deal with, which affects the receiver. Then he came back strong, but the Madrid Bravos offense was also really good in a run game, and I think that Prague is going to be more of a pass-heavy team. To be honest, I'm just interested to see how they're going to use them and how teams are going to overcome them. Because like I said, lockdown man coverage corner, and then you've got a zone coverage player, that's one of the best ball hawks in the league, and then you get them on offense, and they've got an elite speedster, and I will evaluate all the quarterbacks. I haven't just left off Javarian Smith, who is going to be the quarterback for the Prague Lions in 2025. We doing all of them in their own individual videos, but he's just such a playmaker. And then you have on special teams, then they're both like Ken and Willie can also take like kick and punt returns to the house if they're given a really good shot. So I'm super excited. This one was a fun one to make. Hope you guys enjoyed. Members get this a little bit earlier, one day earlier, and then if you want to do that, it's only like £1 a month, so that would really help and support the channel. Sorry, I've been super inactive. As you can see, we've been upgrading the set and getting some new stuff in. I've got a ring light, I've got a camera, I've got a new desk, so I appreciate the guys' patience while I get this set up. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. Who do you want me to evaluate next? Who are you most interested to see on this Prague team? Do you want me to do the tier list videos like I did last year? I probably will do that anyway. But overall, hope everyone's had a great day. I'll see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.